Hi, I'm Allison Dudas, and I work in the marketing department here at Franchise Business Review. And in my role, I focus on uncovering the franchise process to people considering their next career move. This means I get to interact with brands and their franchisees. That's the people who own the individual franchise locations and share their stories. Today, I'm lucky enough to speak with two people from Senior Care Authority. Now, this brand shows up on our lists consistently, and we love our lists here at FBR. And just this year, they've been awarded a top low cost franchise, a top franchise for women, a top franchise for culture, in addition to being named a top 200 franchise overall. Now, I'm here with Frank Samson, and he is a certified senior advisor and the founder of Senior Care Authority. He is the author of The Aging Boomers Answers to Critical Questions for You, Your Parents, and Loved Ones, and creator of the Boomers Today radio podcast show. Prior to founding Senior Care Authority, he worked in franchise consulting and the travel industry for over 3 decades. So, welcome, Frank. Happy to have you.
Thanks for having me, Allison. Appreciate it.
And then we also have David Stamberg, the owner of Senior Care Authority franchise, serving northern and central New Jersey, as well as Rockland County, New York. A seasoned entrepreneur and certified senior advisor, David helps families navigate the complex and emotional decisions around senior living and care, offering guidance on everything from assisted living and memory care to dementia support and older driver safety. David is a certified dementia practitioner, a certified placement and referral specialist, and a Beyond Driving with Dignity professional, which we'll talk about later. Now, a few things to note about Senior Care Authority. So they've been working with us here at Franchise Business Review for a long time, and we have some great data on them. And I just want to highlight a couple things before we move on. So 93% of franchisees agree that fellow franchisees are supportive of each other. So that's kind of interesting. You clearly have built a good community. 90% of franchisees agree that fellow franchisees actively participate in Senior Care Authority programs and events. And 93% of franchisees agree that fellow franchisees are supportive of the brand, so of Senior Care Authority. So just some fun facts to get us started. So David, welcome. Frank, welcome. So glad that you are here. And let's get started. So Frank, can you give me a little background, a little nuts and bolts on what Senior Care Authority does?
Yeah, so we work with, bottom line is we work with families to help them with their care needs, helping them find the right place to live, and of course, getting proper care. We also provide other types of consulting services. You mentioned one of many, Beyond Driving with Dignity, as well. So that's what David and our franchise owners do. I myself, day to day, we're a franchisor here to support our franchise owners across the country.
Great. Thank you. And David, how long have you owned a Senior Care Authority?
I own my franchise now for just over 4.5 years. I literally opened up in January of 21. So on January 2nd of 21 is when I started. So it's 4.5 years, and it's been a nonstop excitement in all seriousness.
Nonstop excitement. And what brought you, David, to senior care in general?
Well, at the time, there's two reasons. There's a personal reason and professional reason. And I'll start with the professional because I had to reinvent myself coming out of COVID like so many people did. I was in an industry that, for whatever reasons, was changing, and COVID just accelerated those problems. But, my why is more about my personal. And at the time, I had issues with both parents. And that combined with the idea that I really do enjoy helping people, helping families. And really a lot of my time with families starts with explaining what I've been through personally. And that really is why I decided to make this move.
So a really strong connection between what you had been through. Now, when you speak of that, you wanted to provide some support to help people going through some of what you went through.
Well, a lot of the time there's when I meet someone, I meet a family, and I tell them about what I do and how I can help, most of the time it's surprise. I didn't know someone like you existed. Or if I meet someone that says, how are things going? What do you do? And I tell them, oh, I wish I knew you 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever that may be. I hear that quite often. And but my root is still about helping. It's still, that's the nature of what we do. And I think I know through our entire network of franchise owners, everyone's motto is family first, and it's about helping more than anything else.
Thank you. Yeah. So, Frank, how long ago did you start Senior Care Authority?
I started it locally, initially in Northern California in 2009, but was doing a lot of research about the senior care industry prior to that. As you mentioned earlier, I was in a different industry for the bulk of my career, and I went through a whole lot with my parents, and as David did, and many of our franchisees have, and kind of a light bulb went off, and I decided to do a lot of research and felt that this niche of the business that we're in was a great fit for me personally, and actually did it in a sense, not as a franchise model, but just locally in Northern California for 5 years before starting to franchise it in late 2014. Now we have over 100 locations around the country now.
Wow. Wow. 100 locations. That's really incredible. So, just that feeling of wanting to support families going through what you went through, and then realizing, especially after you started in Northern California in a smaller way, like, oh, I can, I can make this more widely available. That's
Right.
really amazing.
When a new franchise comes aboard, what goes through my mind is how many hundreds and maybe thousands of families we're going to be able to help
Mhm.
in the course of their business. That's what goes through my head right now. So that's what I wanted to do. I helped a lot of families myself when I was doing this day to day, and I wanted to take that concept and grow it across the country and maybe even outside the U.S. as well eventually.
Yeah. Well, it's such an overwhelming moment to realize that your parents are in need of your support, right? Parenting your parents and feeling completely at a loss of where to go and who to ask questions to, and you all are filling a very serious void that needs to be filled. So, David, do you get the sense that other Senior Care Authority franchisees also have a strong sense of purpose when it comes to why they started their business? And do you feel like it's easy to connect with them over that?
Absolutely. And Frank is right. There's many of us that came out of something dealing with an older person, an aging loved one in our families or friends. And that in a lot of cases our why for why we go this route. This is not a business for someone that just thinks they're going to turn on a switch and it's going to work. This is a great business for people that genuinely care, and can help families. I was thinking about what Frank was also saying, and there's a lot of cliches we use, and one is you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of the families, almost every family that I talk to, they really don't know. There's always someone's in their back of their mind telling them something that's usually incorrect or not accurate. And they need someone like a senior care authority owner to clear away the confusion and make things focused, because that's where a lot of the stress is rooted. Whether it's what kind of care does my loved one need, how much will things cost, how do I plan for it? We really hold their hand literally and figuratively through that process.
Yeah. Allison, do you mind if I add something to what David's saying?
No, of course not.
No. So, something that came to mind, and I do, tell people about this that are thinking about getting into it. A family may use our services once in a lifetime,
Mm.
maybe. If they use us twice in a lifetime, that's kind of sad, really. It's sad that they had to use us twice. All right. So when someone is confronted with this, they just they don't know where to turn, it's important to know that we're dealing with many families who have situations whose loved one is more of a higher acuity. It's not, certainly when people hear of senior living, they might think of a 55 and over community, and certainly Senior Care Authority works with those communities, and we have great relationships. However, I would say the far majority of the families we work with are confronted with very, very difficult situations. And that's where we excel.
Mm. And I imagine it really draws, your franchisees must be very empathetic people.
Right. Yeah, they have to be.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
such a almost a pastoral kind of response that you need to
Yeah, I,
have with these people at their really hard moments in their lives.
I say to many, as a franchisor, because it's a regulated industry, I can't make many promises that I'm not allowed to. But I always promise them that if they decide to get into it, they will have adult children literally crying on their shoulder. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not every day, but it will happen. And so it has to be people that are empathetic and can handle those types of emotional situations.
Yeah. And want to make a difference to your
Sure.
point, certainly.
Right.
Um, Now, just kind of jumping off of that, Frank, it makes me think a little bit about the training for Senior Care Authority. Obviously, when a new franchise owner comes on board, they go through training. And what is the training like for Senior Care Authority?
Well, it's pretty extensive, and even since the time that David, came into the program, we're making enhancements all the time. And the training program, in a sense, never stops. I mean, we're always learning new things. But the actual program for a new franchise is pretty extensive. It's a combination of online training, all right, where they're watching lectures, downloading materials, and we have now incorporated coaching calls, one-on-one coaching calls together. So they might finish a section, and then they're advised, email this person who will do your one-on-one coaching. So we combine it with the online training as well. Everybody is also required to get a CSA, a certification, a couple different certifications, CDP and CSA. But
Would you explain what those are? CDC.
CSA is a certified senior advisor, and then the certified dementia practitioner. Okay. And so they're required to do that. But again, once they get done with all of that, we actually go out and visit with that particular franchise owner and on their turf. All right. And we work with them and show them how we vet and put together agreements with assisted living communities, because that's the bulk of the business, is working with assisted living and memory care locations in their particular area. So we spent a few days in the field with them as well. So it's pretty extensive. It's not like come to California or for a week and you're done. It's
Right.
pretty extensive. Yeah.
Right. David,
We're
anything?
sorry to interrupt, but we're dealing
Oh,
with people's lives here.
yes, it's
You know?
serious business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned I was in the travel industry for years, and if somebody asked for an ocean view room, and they got there and they're in Hawaii and they kind of have to almost stick their head out of the window to see the ocean, they get upset. They go, I thought I was going to have an ocean view. Well, you kind of do, but they're upset. But if you get it wrong in our industry, you're dealing with people's lives. So
Right.
you got to get it right. So we provide quite a bit of training, and it's necessary.
Yeah. David, anything to add? I mean, did you feel prepared to launch your business? And also, I'm curious what the turnaround time between signing up with Senior Care Authority and accepting clients was.
Sure. Well, there's a couple ways to answer what you're saying, Allison. When it came to the training, first I want to make sure, to say that Frank and his team were completely accessible. The minute I reached out to my personal network and said, I have made a career change and I'm going to do this, my phone rang within 24 hours of someone that needed help. And I called up someone on the team. I said, what do I do? And it wasn't like, you're not ready, you're not this. How can we help your friend? That's really, it goes back to what I said before. How do we help people? How can we help people? The training, though, to Frank's point, never stops. I use a phrase quite often when I talk to other franchise owners that are coming on board, that you need to be a sponge. Very few of our owners came from the business and are in the business. We all came from different backgrounds, and we're all needing to learn quickly. And that really was the wind at my sails that pushed me forward, that said, how can I be good at this fast? And I had to learn and become as knowledgeable as I can. But I'm always learning. I'm learning from my partners, the people I work with. Frank and I communicate quite often with different things that are going on in New Jersey and why they might be different in California. But in terms of starting, it's actually a very interesting idea. So part of our training also is we get a mentor. And my mentor said to me, he's now become one of my best friends. We are recording this. Hopefully he'll agree. But yes, he's become one of my best friends, and we talk quite often. But he said to me, do not plan on making your first placement before 6 months. You will not make your placement before 6 months. And me, I was like, oh, I'll get one faster than that. So I literally started, if you will, on January 2nd, 2021, and I invoiced my first placement on July 1st, 2021. So, let's just say 6 months to the day. So he was correct. So it took time, but, it also took my motivation to want to get out and want to learn and want to network and want to be accepted into the industry and successful as quickly as possible.
Yeah, David brought up a great point that I didn't bring up in the training. The mentoring, is part of it. Again, after that site visit, they are assigned a mentor, and we encourage the franchisees to communicate with one another, and that's one
Right.
of the greatest values of being in a network like ours.
And that shows very clearly in the surveys that we do with your franchisees yearly, is that they feel like they're such a part of a community. Going back up to the data that I shared, 93% of franchisees agree that fellow franchisees are supportive of each other.
Right.
It's amazing. Not only obviously do they have access to you, Frank, the CEO, but they have access to one another, because sometimes you're going to I'm sure you're going to come into a situation where you are not sure what to do, and you can probably call someone up, right, David, and say, this person
Yeah,
has a need that I've never encountered before.
Yeah,
I do it quite often. I still do it. There's an element from my motivation to help of paying it forward, because I could, a dozen, 10, I don't even know how many franchise owners that I would call. Now, some of that was because I'm on the East Coast and, Frank sleeps in, so I couldn't call him all the time. But in all seriousness, though,
trust me, he never looked at the time. He was my wake-up
but
call.
but to know that everyone is a phone call away, even though we are owner operators of separate businesses, we don't have someone to walk down the hallway and go to the water cooler and say, do you ever encounter something like this? So I would always encourage new franchise owners to call me all the time, and I still call other owners all the time to run things by them.
They have their own territories, all right? So they're not competing with one another. It's not like a real estate agent who goes into their office and sits next to another real estate agent, and they're competitors, so if anything, they're referring business to one another, and so it's important. And, I was going to say, like you said, it shows up in the surveys. And listen, I love when we get an award from you guys, and we're very proud of it, and I appreciate it. But the one that is, to me, that I feel best about is the culture. And because that is our culture, what we've just been talking about, franchisees willing to help one another, and that to me is the most valuable one of them all. Even though we're proud to get all.
You're like, please keep giving us awards. Yes.
Yeah.
No, but the top franchises for culture, I think, is something that's critical to look at. I'm a little newer to franchising, but I've heard this phrase used time and time again: going into business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Right.
And that seems to be very much put into action with Senior Care Authority.
Right.
Can I add something to that, Allison? I've never felt, since the day Frank and I first started speaking, I never felt like I was by myself. They were always available. Maybe not immediately, but always available to help.
Maybe not at 5:30 in the morning Pacific time, but yeah.
I love it.
I don't sleep.
I love it. No, I have family I'm on the East Coast and I have family on the West Coast, so I'm constantly dealing with that too. Is it too early there? So Frank, we had mentioned it earlier, but can you tell us more about the Beyond Driving with Dignity program? Because that
Yeah,
seems to be something people have responded very well to.
yeah, I'll give you an overview, and I think David, he works it regularly, so he'll be able to tell you kind of he'll fill in the details. But the program is really a self-assessment program for older drivers to help determine if maybe it's time to retire from driving. We don't like to use the term "take away the keys," right?
Yeah.
And we didn't develop it. It was developed by another individual who actually was a Ohio State police trooper who unfortunately had the duty of knocking on a family's door when maybe a member of their family was killed or seriously injured. And when he retired from the police force, he developed this program because he realized that a lot of the accidents were caused from maybe an older driver who maybe should not have been behind the wheel. And he developed this great program, and I acquired the business some time ago, and then we further developed it. And it's another revenue stream, of course, but more importantly, it's a way for our franchise owners to develop relationships with those families who need that. Because if you think about it, if someone maybe shouldn't be driving, what may be that next step? That next step, maybe they might need to maybe move into some sort of senior living or something like that. So, it's kind of two prong. Um, and yeah, I mean, our franchisees are, utilize it, and it's a great value. And I'll let you ask the questions, but I know David could kind of fill in more details about
Yeah,
it.
no, I wanted to know from David how this program is implemented.
Um, there's a couple ways. I was about to say a lot. There's really two key ways to answer that question, Allison. It's the professional, dealing with professionals and dealing with the families. And I'll talk about the professionals first because the program allowed me to get into an industry faster. I was becoming educated and talking about something that no one else was addressing. And they didn't, or if they wanted to address it, they didn't know how to address it. So I became the immediate default expert on senior driving. And I became someone that in New Jersey, that people were calling. Can you come talk to us? Can you do a presentation? And it allowed me to accelerate my presence in a senior industry in New Jersey a lot faster than if I did not have the program. I'm trying to think of the right way to say it without patting myself on the back too much, but I was winning people over by doing successful presentations, whether they were two seniors, two adult children, or two professionals themselves for continuing education. As far as working with families, though, it's like the assisted living placement conversation. I say jokingly, but it's true that since I'm not family, I can get yelled at, but since I'm not family, I don't get yelled at. It's amazing how when someone says, even whether it's driving or transitioning, my father, my mother, they don't want to talk to me, we're fighting. I'll come in and I'll say the same thing the adult child is, and they listen to me a lot differently. They might not agree, they might not like what I have to say, but they're listening to me a lot with a different lens or different focus than if their adult child was saying it. I have had placements come out of Beyond Driving with Dignity. Either someone called me months after, or there was one particular one where I went in and it wasn't even about driving. I noticed that the woman was just extremely isolated where she is. One of the questions we ask in our session: tell me the 3 places you drive to the most in a given week and why do you go? And it was all about socialization. And she shouldn't have been driving, but she was driving to get to places to socialize. And I said to the family, it's time. It's time to consider a transition because then the car will just go away on its own. And it did.
It sounds like that program really has opened doors for you and your
Yeah.
business and allowed a really a really accessible on-ramp almost for families to get connected with you and have these tougher conversations.
Yeah. So professionally, I tell this all the time. Um, when I started, it was early 21, so still the height of COVID. So all the networking was all done on Zoom. And it was, it was like the Brady Bunch. While everyone's doing their elevator pitches, everyone's, looking around different directions. And I would do mine, David Stamberg, Senior Care Authority, help families find the best assisted living options. And then the minute I would say beyond driving with dignity, I'd see all the faces stop. And that way, I knew I had something there that was going to draw attention to someone who was new to the industry and put myself a lot forward into the industry than I might have if I didn't have it.
Right. Oh, it clearly sets Senior Care Authority apart from other.
It does.
So just to kind of, I mean, this has been such an interesting conversation, and as I said before, you all are filling such a need that families have right now, and so I'm curious as to what you think the future of this industry looks like. Where do you see it going, or what are you excited about?
David, you want to start? You want me to? Go ahead. I'll let you start.
I'm going to do
You're,
it
you're my
strictly.
customer. I'll let you start.
I'm doing it strictly from a New Jersey perspective. I see it as an endless amount of people that need help. And we have our competitors, but one of the things Frank also didn't say, we're all required also in Senior Care Authority to be part of the National Placement and Referral Alliance. And with the National Placement and Referral Alliance comes a commitment to a code of ethics and standards of best practices. And we have to live up to them. And I want to see this industry advance those ideas so families know that they have support, people can help them, and more of the industry becomes, how can I help you, rather than, sorry, I can't help you.
I mean, I'll just, add to that. I mean, on a macro level, I mean, you probably have heard, and people have heard who are watching this, the term the silver tsunami, which is, we consider our industry. And right now, if you're going to use that analogy, it's just drizzling rain right now. I mean, it hasn't hit. The winds are just starting to pick up. So we're really at our infancy stage, and so there's tremendous growth. I'm hoping that that the developers and the builders and the people setting up assisted living communities keep ahead of the demand, because the demand is there. We don't have to create any new demand. I mean, the numbers show it. You just look at the statistics, and I think it will continue to grow even after the boomers are passed on, right? Because nowadays we all have in our own families people that decide not to get married, people who decide not to have children. Those statistics are there. So I think as time goes, a lot of people will not have their own kids to take care of them for a while. So they're going to need, help from third parties like us. So I believe we have a great future at Senior Care Authority, and the industry it's an amazing industry because of the people in it, because they're in it for the right reasons. Certainly, you can make a very good living at this. But first and foremost, I think people are getting into this business because they do want to, help families and help people, but everybody wants to make a living at the same time. I've brought this up. The Bill Gateses of the world. I'm not envious of the money that they make. I'm envious of the money they can give. And I think that all of us at Senior Care Authority, we do our part of doing a lot of giving, but we're able to make a living at the same time.
Yeah. I think that's very important what Frank's talking about. So I've thought of one thing about the future is also about education. So taking people from, my friends, are you prepared? Everybody wants to, they pay for colleges, they pay for different things for their kids. They want to go to Florida and play golf and pickleball and eat dinner at 4:30. But what happens when they can't do that any longer? So it's about educating them that they need to be prepared because they're going to live longer. And it's just continually getting the word out that there is support out there. And to Frank's point, I probably get, I don't know, at least one call a day, if not more, from people that I can't help financially, but that doesn't mean I don't try to point them in the right direction as best as I can.
Well, thank you both so much. And just to wrap up and remind the viewers, you've surveyed with us for years, which shows us that you really value feedback from your franchisees. And not every brand does. Not every brand out there does. So with the data that we've collected from franchise owners, you've won so many awards. So just this year, again, just to recap: top low cost franchise, top recession resistant franchise, top franchise for women, top franchise for culture, top 200 franchise overall. And that's so many awards. So Senior Care Authority clearly excels at so much, and your franchisees know it. To learn more about Senior Care Authority, be sure to check out franchisebusinessreview.com to download their full report that they happily share with people considering purchasing one of their franchises. We are so lucky to work with you. Thank you both for sharing your stories and your insights. And for those of you watching, we wish you the best of luck as you research different franchise brands and business opportunities. And just remember, data doesn't lie. Thank you.
Allison, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.